You are listening to Unstoppable Actors, the essential podcast for ambitious, unknown actors with me, Louise, the artistic director of Standby Method Acting Studio. And for the last 13 years, I've been taking unknown actors with blank CVs all the way to Netflix dramas, Amazon Prime films, TV soaps, and stage plays around the world. And every week I'll be talking with you and sharing how you can become a paid working unstoppable actor, because you 1000% can. An acting career is doable. Are you ready to dive into the episode? Hello and welcome to another juicy episode of Unstoppable Actors. I'm so excited that you are here. If you are brand new and you've just found the podcast, welcome. It's so good to have you here. I hope this is going to be the first of many episodes that you'll tune into. And if you're a regular listener, I'm so glad you keep tuning in. Today's episode is really good. We are talking all about crying on cue and all of the issues that we face with when it comes to crying on cue and how we can overcome them with the world's most talked about acting technique, which is method acting. Before I get started, I just want to let you know that we have got an incredible offer on the Method Actor Circle. You can access all of the method acting training, audition training, which takes the format of pre-recorded classes that are already in our library that you can follow along to, and upcoming live classes for 1 month for £1, literally for less than a price, like way less than a price of a cup of coffee. You can access the most incredible acting technique on the planet and start to catapult yourself onto the cast list that you want to see your name on. So for you to go and take advantage of that, for you to get that 1 month, £1 trial, you just need to go to bit.ly/the Method Actor Circle and type in the discount code MAC1 or click the link underneath the episode. I've left it there for you as well. So let's get started with crying on cue then. I can remember way back when I was 16 and I was in secondary school, and we had our GCSE exams. Wherever you are in the world, they'll be called something different, but it's the exams that you do when you're in secondary school. I was doing my drama GCSE. I was really excited about it because this was really, allowing me to have some independence as a teenager and move on to the next stage of my acting dreams, which would be to go to college. And the scene that we were doing was quite an emotional scene. It was set in World War II, and we had created this play around the bombs going off. So my sisters, these are the characters, my sisters had heard the air raid siren, they'd ran down the garden to get into the Anderson shelter, and I'd followed them. So this is the scene, this is the context of what was going on, and they got hit by, I think it was something like shrapnel or something. They'd somehow got hit, and anyway they ended up dying. Very typical for a 16-year-old improvisation that you create, but I was really proud of it. So they end up dying, and they've got my little baby sister who was a little teeny tiny baby, which as we were doing the scene was a doll. And so I go and grab the doll, and in that moment, I had the most incredible experience. And I should point out that this was actually the final presentation of the scene. So we were getting assessed on this. So I picked this doll up out of my sister's hand, which happens to be one of my best friends at school. And I had this surreal moment. So this is genuinely what happened. I looked at this baby doll, and I really, in that moment, believed that this was my little baby sister and that it was just going to be me and her from now on. And I looked around in the scene, bearing in mind it was performed in the school hall, not the most inspiring of places, but I didn't see the school hall. I saw where I was. I saw this back garden. I saw smoke and flames everywhere. And all of a sudden, I started crying because the realisation hit me that I am a young girl and I've got to bring up this little baby and I don't know what I'm doing and I've just lost my sisters. That had never happened in rehearsals. My drama teacher was super proud of me. I was super proud of myself. I was like, oh my God, did I really just cry? Like, wow, did I really just have that experience? It was so incredibly exciting. And it gave me confidence that, wow, this absolutely possibly could be a career for me. And then we did the scene again, and the tears just didn't flow. I didn't have that same experience. In fact, there were no tears. The tears had run off. I feel like they'd run into the Anderson shelter and left me behind. I was like, oh my God, where are the tears? This is a common experience for actors of all levels. I want to reassure you that even A-list actors are going to experience this because emotions can run dry. It's a normal experience. Now, back then when I was 16, I had no clue about method acting. I'd never even heard of it. It wasn't until I trained in method acting and I did some reflection on my journey as an actress and where it all started, my little journey and, how it evolved. And I was thinking about this GCSE experience where I was like, wow, I actually had used method acting without realising when I was 16 years old. And I'm going to take you through the process of the techniques that I'd used naturally and unconsciously that you can use as well. But before I do, I want to tell you 3 things that you absolutely should not do when the tears run dry. So tears can run dry in situations like what I had, where you do the performance once and it's on stage and then it comes to the next performance on stage and they're just not there. Or it can be that you're on a film set and you've done your wide shot and the tears came, and then you've done the mid shot and the tears came, and then it's time for the close-up. And the close-up, of course, is where the tears are really, really needed. But they're just not there. You can't find them. They seem to have run off. Or maybe you're in an audition and you've been rehearsing it at home. Tears were there, fine, perfect. It gets to the audition and they're not there. This can cause panic for actors. It can induce anxiety and it can actually take us into performance anxiety. So there's 3 things you absolutely should not do. The first thing is you don't need to listen to sad music to try and get the tears to come back. And the reason I don't advocate for that is because a couple of things can happen. The first thing is you can get the tears too soon and then they'll just run out anyway before you actually need them. Or you will get the tears and you'll get the sadness, but you'll end up playing the scene on one level. When you play the scene on one level, it spells doom. Doom means you've got a dull, boring scene with no nuance. Because emotions go on a journey, they're not on one level, and you literally will play the scene on one level. And we definitely don't want that because the audience will get bored. The second thing I don't want you to do is try to force the emotion out. So the example that Lee Strasberg used to give way back when he was teaching what are now A-list actors back in the actor's studio, the example he used to give is that you've got to see emotions a bit like trying to give a child a lollipop or a sweet. Like if you try and force that sweet into the child's mouth, it's going to tense up. And it's the same with an emotion. If you try and force it out, you are going to tense up. That emotion will tense up. And the extreme opposite will happen, which is you will be completely dead inside emotionally. You'll be devoid of emotion. And you'll give a really tense performance. And then the third thing I don't want you to do is to overthink this. Because when you overthink, what will happen is you will work yourself up and you will start to feel stressed out. So you'll have an emotional response, but it's not the one that you want. You will induce stress in yourself. And then you will go through the scene super tense. So please don't do any of those 3 things. I've been coaching actors for coming up to 15 years, and every time I've seen an actor dive into one of those 3 things, it just spells disaster in the scene. And then all that happens is they walk away from the scene beating themselves up, thinking they're a crap actor, and that's just not true. So what we want to do instead is we want to work the method acting triangle. And if you're not familiar with it being a triangle, there's 3 points on it. The first point is relaxation, the second point is concentration, and the third point is imagination. So we need to relax first, which will get us to focus. And when we're focused, we open up the floodgates for imagination, which then opens up the floodgates for genuine, authentic emotion. So if I take you back to that experience that I had in my GCSE drama exam back when I was 16, and I said that I picked the doll up, and had this massive realisation that this is my little baby sister and I've got to look after her, and realised that my sisters were dead. And then I looked around and I couldn't see the school hall. All I could see was flames and smoke and where we were supposed to be in the scene. What had happened is I'd worked that method acting triangle without realising. So I'd relaxed, firstly, which is how all actors have to begin scenes, because you cannot tap into the character, the emotional world of the character, or even listening to your scene partners if you're not relaxed. So I'd naturally relaxed without even realising. And then I'd moved on to the second point, which is focus. And I'd actually focused on something called sense memory, which I'd used via my imagination. Now, my imagination had been fired up because my drama teacher, who I adored and inspired me so much, she'd actually took us to an Anderson shelter as part of our character prep work, which again is another method way of working, and I didn't realise it at the time. And she'd got us to sit in the Anderson shelter, and she'd got us to close our eyes and played air raid sirens. And that really evoked something in me in that experience when we were sat in that Anderson shelter. So then what had happened in the scene is, because I was relaxed, that memory's then come back up and has allowed me to be able to really immerse in the scene and imagine that I am there. And that's why I saw the flames and the smoke and where we were. And then what that's done is it's taken me around to the third point, which is imagination. Now I'm imagining I'm really in the character's shoes and in this scene, and it's opened up the floodgates for emotion. And that is how you get to crying on cue. Now, the second time I shared with you, I didn't experience the emotion again, and that's because I didn't have a technique behind me. So the first time I'd naturally tapped into these method acting techniques without even realising, but the second time I hadn't, because I didn't know a technique, I didn't know how to work it, I was very hit and miss. But also the second time I was trying too hard to recreate what had happened in the scene the first time, which then meant I wasn't relaxed, I was overthinking. So overthinking is the killer of creativity. It is the killer of scenes. It will disconnect you from the character. It will disconnect you from your emotions. Now, what I've shared with you are all things that I dive into on a practical level in the classes inside of the Method Actor Circle. So we have a combination of audition classes, we have method acting classes, with character development techniques in there. And we've also got lots of pre-recorded classes in our portal, which you can follow along with, which dive into these techniques practically. So you can get these techniques embedded in you and you can become consistent with them and not be hit and miss with your performances. Because when you become consistent, you start to develop such an incredible reputation for yourself, and it's easier to get cast more often then. It's easier to get recommended by directors that you've worked with. It's easier to get doors opened for you. So when we get rid of overthinking, we pave the way for more raw emotion and more role offers. And that's what the Method Actor Circle is designed to do. It's designed to arm you up with the tools and techniques to make you a consistent, highly skilled actor. And as you heard me say in the beginning of the podcast, we've got such an incredible offer on where you can access all of the live, upcoming and pre-recorded classes for one whole month for £1. You don't need to be from the UK to access it. You can be from anywhere in the world. But for less than the price of a cup of coffee, you can be accessing the techniques that these A-list actors are using that keep them at the top of cast lists. So the same thing can happen for you. So I highly recommend you come and join and test it out and see the progress that you make. And you can do that by going to bit.ly/the Method Actor Circle, typing in the discount code MAC1, or I've left the link for you underneath where you've hit play. I really hope you are feeling fired up and inspired and more knowledgeable as well on what it takes to be able to consistently cry on cue. And I just want to end by saying the tips and the techniques that I've shared in this episode are not just for crying on cue. It's for any emotion that you need to access multiple times. You just work that method acting triangle. I've loved sharing all of this with you, and I'll see you again soon. I've absolutely loved hanging out with you, and I really hope you found this episode inspiring. If you have, please do rate the podcast and hit follow so you never miss an episode, and I can help more actors like you. And come and join one of the most supportive, uplifting acting communities on socials, the Unstoppable Actors Facebook group, where you'll get your weekly injection of inspiration, networking, and receive your free Method Actors Handbook so you can become an unstoppable actor.